Yo, I'm Midnight Grime. Now let's get this review banging. You ready for this?
What are you doing? What have you done to my background?
Yo, I'm Midnight Grime. Check out my...
Yeah, whatever. What do you want?
How about we start with your complete and total surrender of your channel?
Do you realise how ridiculous you sound?
You've not answered my question.
No, the answer is no. We're not doing this evil alter ego thing, okay? It was tedious and cliche when Toon Critic did it, and Celestia only knows how he managed to make his OC edgier than it already was. Look, at the very most you can be like an occasional side parody character, like Billy or Mary Sue.
Okay.
Now go sit in the corner.
Yo.
Speaking of cliche... It's curious how the My Little Pony movie was the exact opposite of how the TV series has been recently. As I touched on in a previous video, Season 7 has seen the show become increasingly postmodern to its detriment, drifting away from its main characters with unfocused and unengaging stories that lack any cohesive structure. The movie, on the other hoof, is the very definition of formulaic, possibly more so than the Emoji Movie. Maybe it was the writers showing excessive restraint in light of this being the first real G4 MLP movie to make it to the big screen, but for whatever reason the film goes out of its way to hit every trope and cliche in the book. Main characters are preparing for a big event. Evil villain shows up and causes havoc. Evil villain has an unfunny comic relief sidekick. Main characters go on a quest to find a MacGuffin and meet quirky side characters along the way. Any of this sound familiar yet? One or two of these tropes wouldn't be an issue, but when every single plot element is a generic mashup of every other animated film of this sort, it quickly becomes monotonous. And can I just say that I'm officially done with the main characters fall out and make up scenes in both animated and live action movies. Whether it's Monsters Inc. or The Inbetweeners, they nearly always feel forced, and you can tell they are only there because that's what happens in a movie for some reason.
Well, maybe I would have been better off without friends like you!
The notion of Twilight's dedication to the cause of friendship being tested by the unforgiving lands beyond Equestria is in itself not half a bad idea, and hell, if this were the real world she'd have a point. But of course this is the My Little Pony movie, where friendship has to solve everything and poorly thought out attempts at sympathetic villains get snap redemptions that are jarring and don't make any sense. You know what, let's talk about Fizzlepop Berry Twist for a minute. Lily Pete has already cited the incompatibility of her supposedly sympathetic backstory and the way she is presented as a villain as being one of the greatest failings of her character and those of similar antagonists.
But I think the big nail in the coffin with Tempest and this design to villains as a whole is that it's a half measure. They're designed with brooding backstories to make them more serious and less cartoony to villains like Tyrek, Discord, or Queen Chrysalis, but their actions are nearly identical to Saturday morning cartoon villains.
While this problem isn't solely limited to the movie, it is emblematic of the film's core faults. Its self-enforced need to have a conventional cartoon movie villain saying and doing all the things a cartoon movie villain does directly hinders the writing's agenda for her to be a sympathetic, redeemable character. Or is it actually the other way round? This may at first glance seem contradictory to everything I've said so far, but you see, DHX have a terrible track record with how they reform villains. Their only successful attempt at it was with Discord, and it's no coincidence that he didn't have a brooding backstory. However, going the hammy, cartoonish villain route really could have worked, along with all the plot cliches and contrivances, if the writers had fully thrown their weight behind it. I mean, let's not forget, this was how Fizzlepop was introduced.
How about we start with your complete and total surrender?
It's so cheesy and over the top and silly. A character like this can be loads of fun, but there has to be a certain amount of self-awareness about it for it to work. Otherwise, a cliche is nothing more than a cliche. That self-awareness was sadly not present in the My Little Pony movie because they were too busy attempting to make a half-baked moral about friendship. A word of advice, you do not write a line like this.
How about we start with your complete and total surrender?
And then try, emphasis on the word try, to make your villain complex and layered and expect to be taken seriously. Oh, and on a separate note, what was the deal with Sia Pony? I'm calling her that because that's what she is. I've heard of pointless celebrity cameos before, but this is ridiculous. Maybe they were afraid Sia's agents would back out of the contract or something, so they deliberately kept the part minimal. Or perhaps she was never in the story to begin with and they had to find a way to tack her on somehow at the last minute. In any case, the end result just feels rather distracting. In all fairness, this movie was okay. As a My Little Pony movie, it is passable at the very least. But I can probably speak for most of the fandom when I say that we want more than just passable. The MLP TV show developed its large following by defying expectations, proving repeatedly that it had the potential to be more than just okay. Call it buying into the hype if you like, but I hoped and believed that My Little Pony the movie would embody that, by being somehow more than another generic animated film adaptation. Sadly, it turns out that was too much to hope for. And now I don't want to hear your opinion. Did you like the MLP movie? Did you not like it? Do you think I'm an idiot talking horse shit? I couldn't care less, but I'm sure you'll leave a comment down below anyway, and I might even reply if I can be bothered. Also, did you know there's a way you can support me for free? Just click that subscribe button. Keep it on the down low.